Hey everybody, welcome. It's the Art of Comics. I'm not in my studio today. I'm here in the kitchen area because my studio is a total disaster, and I'll share a little bit about what's going on with me and why I haven't posted much videos lately. We've had some major life changes. Sometimes life does what calls kicks you in the ass. And so, due to some major life changes, going through family transitions, aka divorce, I haven't had the energy, inclination, motivation to do much on this channel. I've done a few videos on the Andra Salazar Art Hub, and a lot of that's also because I'm kind of transitioning to fine art, but I haven't been reading comics. I've been wanting to kind of post about that kind of stuff for a while. Just, life happens. In addition to that, and I've talked about this before, I've been trying to move out of this freaking apartment, and it's been 11 months of fighting with the apartment complex. So I live at a artist community where you have to be an artist to live here. Because of that, it's like a subsidized or a little cheaper rent because it's like a work space, right? Work living space. But the problem with that is to get those tax credits from the government to make it cheaper. There's a very long and really invasive list of documentation that you need to provide. And I've provided all the paperwork multiple times. Plus, we've had the company who owned this change. They sold it to another company. So there's this new company that's came in, and I'm having to redo the whole process because I'm trying to move to a smaller unit. This is a 4-bedroom. I want to go to a 3. And so it's just been extremely taxing. Like, I've got boxes everywhere. So I've been like literally ready to move since March. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. And so it's always like, well, should I start unpacking again? Should I keep it packed up? Do I want, it's just been hard. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about comics. This video titled is Tricks and Tips and Ways to kind of like game the system for doing the 24-hour comic book challenge. Now, I have done the 24-hour comic book challenge for many, many years, and it really is honestly something I really, really love. I love the process of doing an all-nighter, literally 24 hours, working on something creative, seeing the ups and downs of that process, finding inspiration, then losing it. And clearly you can tell when you look at my comics. I think I've shared some of them with you. On my Patreon, you can see them all. There are moments when it's really good, and then you could tell where it's like, this is probably like the 3 a.m. part of the day because it's just like getting weird or bizarre or just really bad. That's okay though. I still like it. I still like doing it. I still like the whole concept of it. But for those of you who don't know, you're supposed to make 24 pages, which is kind of the industry standard of a comic, although now I think they've moved down to 20 pages, but back in the day, 24 pages in 24 hours. So how do you do that? There are some rules. One is you don't start before the time, and then you have to end at the time. So a couple of tips and tricks. The biggest tip, or the biggest way to kind of shave time to pull this off, by the way, I recommend it. It's generally, I think there's like a day, which is like in mid-October. I missed it, so we're doing it now. But, I just like to do it. The biggest tip would be, for time saving, would be go digital, right? Use your Wacom Cintiq, which I have, or my iPad. If I want to go digital, boom, that shaves a lot of time. But I don't like to do digital. I've done digital. I've done collage. I've done a lot of different ways to do it, but I like analog. I like paper and pen. So tip number one is to, while you can't write out the story, I start thinking about it. So I'm going to do this Friday, and I'm going to live stream this video of me working. And I'm probably going to do it here because there's decent lighting and all that jazz. And just start working on, I'll start it. But while I'm thinking, you're not supposed to write the script ahead of time, the dialogue, but I'm kind of like thinking of some ideas, right? And I'm kind of like maybe thinking some character drawings and things like that. And so I'm kind of like just getting in the mode of what type of story I want to tell. A comedy, a horror, an action, superhero, what genre, that kind of stuff. What setting? I'm just noodling. That's the first step. Because if you just go in hour one not knowing jack, that's going to suck. So I kind of like, and I don't think that's cheating because I'm not putting stuff to paper really. I'm not like writing out scripts or plots. I'm just kind of like noodling. So that helps a lot. Second is thumbnails. Spend that first hour just breaking down the story. All 24 pages and 24 squares. You guys know what thumbnails are, right? So I'm going to go, right? I'm going to have these squares. We're going to have one for each page, and we're going to draw it out. We're going to like thumbnail it. We're going to put some people, right? We're going to know, right? And we start doing that. Start getting the visuals and the story ideas, right? The beats, so to speak. What happens, conflict, resolution, blah, 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 right? So start getting figured that out. That will take you probably maybe an hour, which means that now every page has to be done under an hour. In fact, without more like 45 minutes. Also remember you have food, eating time, bathroom, you need to take a walk, those kind of things, which are important. So you really have maybe like 35, 40 minutes per page. Maybe more than that. Maybe actually 45 minutes per page. Which sounds like maybe a lot. It's not a lot. So noodle it a little bit. Thumbnail that first hour. Break it down. You don't have to break it all down. Maybe you just do the first half or whatever. But as much as pre-planning you can do, the better. Because you're going to be spending so much time rendering and drawing, you're not going to have time to like think of the ideas and think of the dialogue and that kind of stuff. You're going to be spending time drawing. It's a lot of drawing. So whatever you can do to like plan out and think of what you're going to do that first, hour or two, that's going to supply you the roadmap, right? That's like big, big, big. The second thing to do, or the third thing to do, is do not use pencils. Unless you're going to unless it's going to be in pencil for the final, don't do pencil and ink. Go straight to ink. Straight to ink. Get your microns out. Get your brushes out. Whatever. Right? Loose drawing. Gestural drawing. Go that route. Don't spend a lot of time rendering stuff. Backgrounds, minimal. Unless it's very important, right? So, backgrounds minimal. Focus more on the characters. Loose drawing. Ink. Now, you can, if you really want to do a little pencil, because the ink will look, whatever. But I'm telling you, the best way is just to go straight to ink. It's risky, it's ballsy, but it's a 24-hour comic. Who cares, right? I mean, you want to make it good, but it's also about the process. I don't make this so that I have this thing that I can sell, right? Or that I can share necessarily, although I do like to share it. It's really about the process of going through it stretches me creatively and I learn things, right? That's critical. So think of that, okay? The last tip is size. So a normal comic book page, or this is a manga page, which is a little bit different, but American Comics 10 by 15 is the active right page. This is a manga page I got. This is from Deleter. I got this in Japan, right? Here's a manga page, which is different sized. It's like 9 something by 15, or I don't know. I don't have a measuring thing. It's different size. So this is a normal size. You know what? You don't have to do that. You can cut it in half, make it smaller, do it in a notebook, do it in some kind of a smaller size. Shrink down your drawing size. Now, there might be certain pages you want it bigger, or a splash page or what have you. By the way, I should mention that too. But don't draw normal sized. Go smaller. Do it in a small size. Do your whole thing this less drawing. It's less drawing, right? And you have to simplify things more when it's smaller. So less rendering, smaller, easier to do. The only caveat is make sure your lettering is legible. When you get really small, your lettering is going to get jacked up. So make sure your lettering is still good and still legible. Okay. The last thing is, so we've got size, we're doing ink, we're thinking about it, we're going kind of loose on the drawing. You're not worried about rendering so much. The last thing you want to do is splash pages. Now, I've always thought, every time I start this up, in a couple days I'll start up, and I'm just thinking, man, I should do a comic just of splash pages, like 24 splash pages. I always think of that, and I never can figure it out. I never can like do that, make that work. So I don't. But I always have 3 or 4 splash pages in there. You want those. You want those for the big moments, for the opening, for the ending, for the middle, the battle, or whatever. You want those splash pages. It makes it easier, it's simpler, and it's just quicker. So splash pages, use them as much as you can. It helps a lot. So those are my tips and tricks for 24-hour comic book day. Again, this is kind of an ad really for me doing it Friday. So come check it out live. I'll be doing that. Also, what else am I doing? I'm teaching art in Santa Paula Art Museum. I'm teaching a pen and ink illustration course, a watercolor course. I'm teaching here at Vita Art Center, both of those as well. I'm teaching a lot, which is good, and I'm doing a lot of art. So check out my Patreon to see some of those pages, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. Thanks.